this show is really about real money. It's really about real money. It's about gold. And gold is one of my favorite subjects. You know, it's like gold is a uniform price, which means it's real money. Then I realized that's God's money. You know, if I get the atomic number and silver as an atomic number, the U.S. dollar doesn't. So I became very, very suspicious of the U.S. dollar. I still bought as much gold as I'm still buying gold. I bought some the other day because this guy had some 10-ounce bars where kilos come in, and they're hard to get. I mean, it's really hard to get.
That's right.
And it's getting hard. I couldn't even buy silver the other day. I mean, this is 2021.
Well, what does that tell you?
Supplies are gone.
That's right.
Plus, they're suppressing the prices.
People don't know this.
The prices.
Yeah, they don't understand how this works, Robert. So imagine if you go to McDonald's and there's a dollar menu and they say you can get this item for $1. You order the item and they say it'll be $3.50. Wait a minute. I thought it was $1. Yeah, that's right. That's the price. But if you want one, it's $3.50. That's how it works with gold. The price is $1,800. Oh, I'd like to have an ounce. Okay, it'll be $2,000. Well, wait a minute. I don't understand. And you got to wait 2 months for it. So why is the price $1,800? Well, that's just the price because we're able to financially engineer the futures market to keep the price low. But if you actually want an ounce, it's much more.
And then there was this huge war between, Robinhood, Reddit against GameStop. And the little guys kind of won, but they got their asses kicked. They tried it with silver and they couldn't do it because that's real money. Silver and gold are God's money. They couldn't mess with the market because the big producers out of the comics and, Tesla, Apple, Toshiba, Microsoft, all these guys who use silver kept the price suppressed. Now,
well, for specifics, just to back you up so you don't sound like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, they traded 1.7 times the annual supply of silver in one day in order to keep the price down.
And so you idiots out there saving U.S. dollars or pesos or yen or euro, get E.B. Tucker's book, Why Gold, Why Now? Because you're getting screwed. I mean, like when people argue about gold over Bitcoin, I just quote, Yogi Berra. When you come to the fork in the road, take all three. I have all three. And right now I'm high on silver because it's the most suppressed. It's 50% below its all-time high yet. That's how they've manipulated the market. And what I liked about your book, you explain how it's manipulated. So can you give a quick scenarios how they keep the price manipulated?
When you see the price of silver trade, like on this Bloomberg screen behind me, you're not actually seeing the physical price of silver. You're seeing a contract for future silver delivery, which will never happen. It will be settled in dollars. And so the guys in New York are able to sell an unlimited amount of those contracts into the market and settle those in dollars. It's called the futures market. Now, you don't see this with copper, which is at an all-time high. It's been running all year because we're experiencing big inflation. You don't see this with lumber. Have you bought a 2x4 recently? I have. The price has doubled. So all of the things that we buy that we need are going up in price, but the metals are different because it's in the government's best interest to keep the price down. And so you create financial products called futures that you're able to unload into the market to keep the price down. And that's creating a difference between the gold price and other commodities. It distracts people. Now, Bitcoin is, to your point, is great, but Bitcoin is not digital gold because gold is not physical Bitcoin. These two things are not interchangeable. They're very different. So people ask all the time, should I buy one or the other? It's not like that. That's not the case. These are two very different things and they should be looked at differently. We talk in the book, as you know, in part 3 about how Bitcoin was created. And we have a theory behind who might have created it, which I don't think many people, go into, and they'll see that in the book. But this is a very different asset. This is not the same thing as gold.
That's correct. The most important thing is you want to know the differences between silver and gold, silver, and Bitcoin. And you can make a more logical decision. And then, I caught hell the other day, said, how can you buy Bitcoin at $50,000? I said, I didn't buy it at 50,000. And this is my point to everybody right now, is that silver and gold, the prices are held down now.
Right.
And you're watching Bitcoin, but the real action is going to take place. And I could be wrong, but I think it's silver, then gold.
That's right. It's happening right now.
It's so manipulated.
I have a huge trade on this, by the way. You can see it right now happening. It's like a beach ball that you've pulled down under the water, 10 feet under the water. And when you let it go, it's going to go flying, not just to the surface, but way up in the air and out of the pool. That's what silver looks like. But people need to understand something, Robert. You don't buy gold to make a profit.
Right.
Gold is not a trade. It's wealth. It's real money. There are other things that we can talk about that you buy to make a profit. But gold is about financial security. It's about insurance. It's a fire insurance policy. You don't buy fire insurance to make money unless you're a criminal. But you buy fire insurance so that you can protect what you have and you can build from there. If you lose your foundation, you're in big trouble. Yeah.
And so there's differences between silver, gold, and Bitcoin. And they're all significant differences. And, if I told you today you could buy Bitcoin at $5, would you say, I'll think about it? But that's what we're saying is happening with silver and gold right now because it's manipulated. Anything you want to say about that?
All you have to do is buy an ounce of gold. You'll see. When you call the dealer, they say, I'm sorry, it'll be the summertime before you can get it. It'll be $2,000. That tells you all you need to know. So it's kind of like you go to get a Mercedes and it should be 100,000 and it's 70. Are you upset? No, you're thrilled. But for some reason, when you see gold in that condition, you say, I don't know if I trust that. People get discouraged when they see low prices in gold. But it should be the opposite. When you see an asset and you understand and you've read my book and you know how this works, you should be thrilled to see the gold price held down. And that's the government finally doing something for you that's helpful. So that's how people should look at it once they can see the full picture.
But it's even worse than that is because I took a friend of mine down to Argentina because this guy is, highly educated, very successful and all this, but he is old school. And I took him to Argentina to meet my friend who is an engineer, electrical engineer in Argentina. He had a electrical engineering firm. He said he saved US dollars. He had $1 million US in the bank in Argentina. And then one day the bank told him, they said that we took your money. And they said, oh, don't worry, we'll give you $1 million in Argentine peso or whatever they trade in.
Yep, peso. That's right.
And so I took and he said, do you have any advice? He says, if I had plata or oro, which is gold or silver, and I had outside the country, I would be okay. But because I had everything inside the banking system of Argentina, and worst of all in US dollars, and they exchange it for pesos, I'm trapped. I can't get out of this country because the economy collapsed. So I looked at my friend. He goes, God, this is good. I'm glad you saw this. That was 5 years ago.
Yep. No, I was there with Christina was running the country.
Oh, she's
and I was there, and this adds to what you're saying is that when I used a credit card to pay for the hotel, it was an 8-to-1 exchange rate. But my friend showed me a little store around the corner where it was 12-to-1. But then my other friend had a guy that would bring the pesos on a moped at 16-to-1. So you had the blue market and the black market. And so you had to break the law to get the proper exchange rate. Then it went up to something like 80-to-1 after she left and they got rid of that. But what people don't understand is that the government's in charge of these things. And so you want something that's outside of the system. People say, well, Bitcoin's outside of the system. Okay, maybe, but you have to be connected to a digital network in order to transact. So it's actually quite easy to restrict and control and tax the Bitcoin transactions. Whereas when you hold an ounce of gold, you're holding that money that you're talking about, that wealth, in the palm of your hand. And there's no way to track or trace that. You can melt it down. You can make a belt buckle or a necklace or gold teeth out of it, whatever you want. And no one can ever trace where that comes from. Now that matters when you have turmoil. So it doesn't matter when things are smooth and easy, but things are not smooth and easy right now.